Hello and welcome to a special bonus level of the Thoughts and Players podcast, a brand new gaming podcast with bold takes and no strings attached. My name is Cory, and we are presenting to you a bonus level in which we do an episode for you every week instead of just every other week, because we know you want a little more. So this bonus level can be anything. It can be something that's relevant to the gaming news now, or it can just be a topic kind of interested in. No Jeremy, no David today, but you got me, and we have a guest. Eric, what's up?
What's up, buddy?
So how you doing, man? Doing all right?
Doing good, man. Just, living my life after the COVID-19 crap. Just got back to work a couple weeks ago, kind of getting back in the swing of things, how
right,
daily life is supposed to be.
Why don't you introduce everyone to kind of like your gaming style or history or just something you like?
Oh, man. So you know this. Been gaming all my life since I was probably, 5 years old. Started with the Genesis, played the old Nintendo, played Super Nintendo, and pretty much been nonstop since then. People who know me know that my favorite game of all time is The Witcher 3, and nobody can argue it, even you. And I know you try.
I could.
Big time Dark Souls gamer. Love Bloodborne. Very, very, very big indie gamer. I mean, that's kind of like my thing now. So, that's basically it. I mean, I'm playing a ton of games right now. Really getting into this early access stuff since I started PC gaming. Been mainly console my entire life, but just recently switched to PC.
All right.
At least till PS5 comes out, you know that.
I know all of that already, so we're going to move on. Topic we are talking about today is games that pleasantly surprise us. Now, for me, that means a game that maybe I wasn't interested in before it came out. I got to try it, loved it. A game series where I wasn't into it, played a sequel or a game further on, and it was great. We're going to list 10 games for you. 5 from me, 5 from Eric. Eric, why don't you tell us kind of how you made your list before we go on?
Basically, I guess a pleasantly surprised game doesn't necessarily have to be a game that you see as trash. It could be a game you weren't interested in that may be a very highly rated, highly touted game that you're just not interested at all, but you're just no, I'm not really into it. And then, you get bored one day or, you think, hey, I'm going to go out on a whim and just try it. And then you absolutely love it. That's everything that you thought it wasn't. It's just something that doesn't, I guess, something that normally wouldn't fit with you. And it actually does. So that's basically the criteria I went off of. I didn't go off of a criteria of, this game got a 3 out of 10 on IGN, but I got it and it's pretty good. No, there's a couple of that mixed into kind of the games that I'm going to bring forth, but my criteria mainly was I researched the game. I saw what the game was about. I wasn't really interested. And then even at sometimes I was interested, but it turned out to be completely different to what I thought it was going to be. So,
yeah, it's pretty much my list too. Games exactly like that. Do you think we're going to have any crossover with our 5 games each?
Knowing you and I, probably not.
No, not at all.
No, probably
all right,
not.
well, I guess I'll start us off. So I've got a game here, Eric, that has a pedigree of just excellence. And it's had 5 games in the series, and I didn't get to it until the 6th one. And let's just say I absolutely love the 6th one, made by Santa Monica Studios in 2018.
Ooh.
You know what it is? Yeah,
God of War.
Right. God of War. All right, so God of War, man. I had played some of the previous games in the series, God of War 1, 2, and 3, and they were cool action games, not bad at all.
Man, you're putting me to shame right now, bro. That's such a good pick.
I had to start off with a big one, all right? Let people know I mean business here. So
you're putting me to shame.
Yeah. I mean, the original Gods of Wars, man, they're so kind of like the camera's real zoomed out and the action's fine, but Kratos button mashy. Kratos is kind of like a one-note hero. He's not even a hero, anti-villain, I guess, or anti-hero. Just angry,
dude.
And go on.
No, I agree 100%. You're oh man, this got me hyped.
And the thing is, I don't even think I really wanted to play the new one, but my brother, he buys them, liked them. Yeah. We game shared, played it on PS4. And I was blown away by it, man. A couple of the things that I love about it is, first off, the combat. I think the shift to behind Kratos adds so much. It feels visceral. That's It does feel unmatched. It feels like heavy, like it has a lot of weight behind all the hits and everything. Like to me, the Leviathan axe is like probably one of the best weapons in gaming.
All
how
time.
good it feels.
All time.
Yeah, probably.
It's like having Thor's hammer.
Yeah, exactly, man. It feels great. I love throwing it, punching a few people, calling it back, and it goes through another dude.
Oh yeah,
it's a fantastic game, and like even how I was saying, Kratos was one note. He's not one note in this game at all. He's a really good protagonist in this. He has something to care for, and he's actually kind of like we get to see him kind of going through that learning process of being a father.
See, this is. I think you picked a perfect game because when I think of like pleasantly surprised, me and you both sit in the same boat on God of War. I was not a big God of War fan, but once I saw this one, I saw it was Norse mythology. I saw that they changed the camera angle, which made it was like more like personal. I saw that, the graphics were amazing.
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it was like, it's one of them games like fits that pleasantly surprised, the game's getting 10 out of 10s everywhere.
Right.
But that doesn't necessarily mean like you're interested in it. Journey got a 10 out of 10 and I think that game's trash. You know what I'm saying? Like, but that's how I feel. But like the one thing I like about God of War was like the very personal relationship between him and his son. Like you just like felt like that, that bond between him and like, his son just trying to make his way in the world and, Kratos having his horrible past, like just trying to be a father, which like really...
the story was excellent. And that's probably along with the combat, what carried me through the game as easily as it did. I think I beat it in a week. It was a 30-hour game. It was great stuff, and like this type of game will be not pleasantly surprising to 99% of the people, but for me it was just because of my history with the series.
History with the series. I mean, it'd be the same thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's other games like that you might not like, and then that one all of a sudden, it turns out to be good. And I really like the game because I think the combat had a little more emphasis on kind of like a Souls game. Like it wasn't so much bang, 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 kill these guys. Like you had to block, you had to move out the way, you had to, you know what I'm saying? Like, and there wasn't really, and it didn't really rely on like them quick tap options, like the old God of War. It's like you hit this, tap A. That was like, personally, let me go on a small little rant. One of the worst things I think ever added to any games was that quick
the QTs.
I hated it. It was so dumb. But I think Resident Evil 4 started it, and it was like, oh yeah, I remember doing it for the first time. I'm like, what the frick, man? I'm like, I'm refraining from swearing. You know me, man. I swear a lot. So you can continue.
Okay, one last thing. Boss battles, especially with Baldur, were top-notch. Top-notch boss battles. But, I digress. Eric, hit us with your first pleasantly surprise.
Listen, I was going to try and do a Kratos impression, but it's probably going to be terrible. But it's going to go,
all right, boy. That was terrible.
Yeah.
No,
it's horrible. I'm terrible anyway. So my game, you probably won't be able to guess it. Very, very small game, but I'm glad it's small because we talked a decent amount about God of War, for time's sake. Indie game developed by Sidebar Games, published by Sidebar Games, came out on the Nintendo Switch in September of 2017. It is a role-playing action-adventure game. What game is it?
Role-playing action-adventure game. We're going to go with Dragon Boy or something like that.
No,
Wonder Boy. I don't know.
I am picking Golf Story.
Golf Story. Wow. That's a great one, actually.
So now, anybody who's never heard of it, go buy it today because this game is legit. So first of all, it's your regular little. It's like a little arcadey a golf sim. So it's not like way arcadey like What the Golf or like some of them like Hot Shots Golf and stuff. It's a little bit more in depth than that, but like the game, the way it's set up, there's RPG elements. You can you upgrade your skills, like your range, stuff like that, or then like you get different clubs, different clothing that like help your attributes. A lot of little mini games like a virtual golf game or like you play disc golf, and it's pretty much set up where kind of like a basic RPG.
Right.
Start off as like like a regular dude who's like horrible at golf and like his life sucks and you're just trying to make it in the world. And
well, that's me.
Yeah, well, there's a bunch of douchebag guys like, oh, you suck, stuff like that. But you forget the game's even about golf, just going about your story. It's kind of got like the Pokemon look to it. You know what I'm saying? Like kind of like the character models and stuff like that. But
Right.
yeah, I didn't really want to talk. The game's not much, so I don't want to talk too much about it. But I did want to. That's a game that was like, people are talking about this. Let me try it out, and it actually turned out to be really fun. Plus, they got the sequel coming out, Sports Story this year, so
that looks so good.
Cool. I know, yeah.
They added like eight sports to it or something, along with golf.
I believe so. I'm not doing my due diligence on that. I have not researched it, but I did look at it a little bit. But yeah, Golf Story, very, 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 very good game. A lot of fun. I think it's pretty cheap. It's $15. Normally, the game goes on sale for like $5 all the time.
Okay,
so that'd be a good one to scoop.
Yeah, man, that's a good pick. All right, so my next one here. I think the most surprising part about my next one is it is a free game. Well, it was a free game when I got it on PS Plus. And when you get a game like that, you really don't know what to expect. Most PS Plus type games are kind of like you download, you play, you kind of forget it. This one was not that type. This one, I believe I have hundreds of hours in.
Rocket League.
Yes, that's it. Psyonix, released in 2015.
Yeah, that's
Rocket League.
Dude,
yeah, I'm coming with that fire, man. I'm coming. All right. But yeah,
I'm down. I'm down in the count.
It is. It's remote controlled car soccer. That's all it is.
Oh yeah.
And it's just one of those games that is so much fun to play online with your friends. Me and you and my brother have played, like I said, hundreds of hours together on the game. And like the best part about it is it's the easiest game to jump into. Anyone at any skill level can just play Rocket League and have fun with it. Yep. But it has such a high ceiling. Yeah. She plays
5 years old.
Yeah, exactly.
She's trash, though. She's got to get a little bit better.
Sucks, man. But like the ceiling is so high. Like you feel yourself getting better and better. And it's like the things that you can do after like 100 hours of playing is just so much more better than the things you started off doing. And it really feels like a fun grind,
Oh, yeah. There's just so much content in the game. However, I'm going to complain about that game right now.
Okay.
Because it kind of turned into like the, I don't know how to describe. Yeah. Buy this season pass.
Yes.
Buy that season pass. Buy this, and kind of ruined the game. You know
Very
what I'm saying?
Predatory.
Yeah. I really liked the game back in the day when it was like, all of a sudden.
It was kind of like an indie darling, like
yeah, you play,
and now it's kind of like the big dog, and they make you pay for it like that.
Yeah, there's a bunch of like, just little like it's microtransactions, and anybody who likes microtransactions can, screw off, because that crap is just like, no, man, it's like so like demeaning in a game. Like I think me and you talked about this earlier, but you're telling me about some game like a Fortnite type game, like if you die in like a battle royal, like, but F those guys, man, they can go get F somewhere, because I'm not, nobody's buying that trash game.
But I thought this might be on your list too, but I think
it is not. I took me and you, which is good, because me and you took different routes on this.
That's right. People get to hear 10 different games, hopefully.
Oh yeah, because if you're bringing the heat like that, I'm definitely in the.
Oh, I'm slowing down after this one. Don't worry.
Okay, I'm gonna pick a game right here.
Okay,
you're gonna guess this one just like I guess yours.
Okay. I'm
not gonna tell you who developed it, because you're gonna guess it right off the bat. I bashed this game to hell.
Death Stranding.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So let's go. Let's bring this back just a little bit.
All right. So go ahead. Yeah. Start your story.
So all I did was, since I heard about the game and saw Norman Reedus naked standing on a cliff with a baby in a bucket and walking around, I was like, that game's going to be garbage. And then, sure as shit, I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, okay. I see like what it's about. Oh, this dude's just stacking a bunch of suitcases on his back and he's taking them across the land, right? Yeah, looks terrible. Bash the game forever. Well, decided to jump into Death Stranding earlier this year, about a month before we hit quarantine. Beat it before we hit quarantine. Loved every second of the game. Now, the game starts off very slow. It is 10 to 12 hours of just basically everybody's little bitch. All you're doing is running back and forth. Give this to this guy, give this to that guy. Watch out for the BTs, do this, do that. But once you get past like that first 10 to 12 hours, man, the story in the game just completely picks up. Not to mention the star-studded cast. Mars Mikkelsen, obviously Norman Reedus.
Right.
You got your boy Troy Baker.
Troy Baker.
Voice of Joel and voice of Higgs in the game, the main villain. But there's some like real surprising stuff towards the end of the game, and I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to say much. Not that anybody gives a shit about the game, but anyway, back on track. In the beginning of the game, slow, but as you play the game further in, it picks up. Stories big time. It's a big connected world. Like you start finding things that somebody leaves a ladder for you here. You use that ladder to get over a mountainside. There's combat in the game, which I was not expecting. So I was like, I thought it was just a walking sim. Nope, combat in the game. Tons of good music in the game.
Right.
Your song, "Don't Be So Serious." That.
Right.
That song.
Right.
I mean, you got songs from The Neighborhood, Khalid, Bring Me the Horizon. I mean, just to name a few of them. I mean, the game had like everything. Tons of shameless plugs. Not gonna lie. You drink Monster Energy to restore your stamina. When Norman Reedus takes a shower in the beginning, there's like a little ad that runs "Ride with Norman Reedus" on AMC.
Right.
Little shameless plugs like that. But all in all, I really, I bought the collector's edition for the game because I liked it so much. So I have a BB baby that chills on a shelf here that lights up. It's kind of creepy, but all in all, I like the game. Basics of the game. You're basically picking stuff up. You got to keep your balance. There's some vehicles. Keep your balance as in like when you're walking through the terrain. I really want to talk about a lot more stuff, but it would just be a little bit spoiling. But I recommend that game to anybody. Very surprising to me. Might make an all-time list for me just because of how great the story just unfolded. I mean, I'm just going to live a little, not a big spoiler, but here's a little one. At a certain point in the game, you're going to a different, checkpoint, and there's a tornado that kind of shows up, kind of like an anomaly of the BTs, and you get kind of swept up in it, and you wake up and you're literally in a World War I battlefield, and you're like running through these bunkers and stuff.
That's kind of sick.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, and like all of a sudden, well, I'll just say a little bit, whatever. So like all of a sudden you see like the black tar from the BTs, and like you see some soldiers standing there, and they're all connected by like cords. And they're like looking back and forth, and Mars Mikkelsen comes up out of the thing. He's all black and everything, and then he's a war hero in the game. He's that's his character. He's a war hero, and it's like throughout that whole part, like he's looking for his BB that he lost, and he thinks the BB you got is yours, or the BB you got is his. So he's hunting you, and you got to like go through these levels and like strategically, basically Metal Gear Solid, Kojima, basically turning Metal Gear Solid right there. And you got to take them out. And, it's just, there's a couple sequences like that. And that's just one. That's the earliest one. So obviously, anybody, they can, whatever, they don't like that. It is what it is.
No,
but,
man, I it a little bit. I did like it. Not enough to have me push through it, but I could see all those points you were making. Graphics amazing, music's amazing. It's got like a really cool progression system where you feel like you're slightly getting better after every mission you do, which
every
is
single thing,
which I guess I take for granted in games. Games that don't have it, it feels a little more hollow. So it's a good pick.
But for the most part of that game, like the first 10 to 12 hours, like I said, is really, I mean, it could turn anybody who's playing a game for 10 to 12 hours and it doesn't go anywhere is like, fuck, yeah, screw this. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So that's how I felt about that personally.
All right, man. Next up, I'm going to talk about a game that had its start as a tower defense game with cutesy graphics. And it took the biggest turn in its sequel. It turned itself into a class-based third-person shooter. I am talking about Plants vs. Zombies Garden Warfare.
Yes, sir.
Now, I'm not. It's made by PopCap Games, published by EA. I'm not going to pretend like it's the greatest game on this list or the game that I'm most excited to talk about, but just the fact that they went from a tower defense game, where it was you drag your plants onto this grid and you're defeating zombies, to an actual third-person shooter. You've got your 4 different classes of plants, your 4 different classes of zombies, and you're going at it. There's a couple different fun game modes. There's one called Garden Ops, which is like a tower defense. You have like your horde mode where you're defending yourself. And they also have my favorite mode, Gardens versus Graveyard. That's a kind of like tug-of-war, push and pull type mode where either the zombies or plants are trying to break through and get to different zones. And each map has like a different end goal that you got to try to complete. And it was just it was very surprising because you hear EA announce this game and you think, cash grab, they're just banking on the license. And it wasn't that. They actually put a little bit of thought and care into it. And it was a good game. Now, I will say this. They have made 2 sequels for it since then. Those 2 games have been less pleasantly surprising. They've been more of the same. I've purchased both of them, but they've I kind of fell off them rather quickly. But that first one will be one of those games where I think back, that's not going to work, but it did. So
yeah, and I'm ashamed of myself. I've never played any of those games.
I mean, it's not for everyone, and there's definitely better shooters out there, but it's just the mix of the kind of like cutesy graphics. It's like a My First Battlefield almost.
Yeah, dude. No, I've heard nothing but good things about those games. Even the tower defense, days. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember you guys playing that tower defense game when we were like kids, man. That was a long time ago.
Man.
I do remember that. So, that's pretty legit, man. I really, that's a good pick too, because that surprised me. That's pleasantly surprising to me because I didn't think it was going to be on here.
Right.
So there you go. All right, buddy. Here's one that me and you disagree on, and it will basically, this will be a nice little discussion for us. Developed by Digital Sun. I own the collector's edition for this game too. It released on May 29th, 2018 for Xbox and PS4 and came out on the Switch later on that year. What game am I talking about, Corey?
I think you're talking about, because you mentioned this, I would have never got this without you talking about it earlier. I think you're talking about Moonlighter?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Action RPG. Indie game, roguelite, but however, I would not call the game an RPG. That's my disagreement with its description.
Okay.
It's got RPG elements, so we'll give it that. So basically, this game, me and Corey Corey talked about it to me, and right now at this point in time, I was just rocking a Switch. He's like, yeah. Moonlighter, I remember talking about it, and I remember him being like, oh, Moonlighter, I can't play the combat's horrible, this and that. So I was like, all right, So I gave it a shot. It's got your a Link to the Past kind of look to it, nice little graphics. Played the game, instantly loved it. Premise of the game, you go into different dungeons, collect things, and you collect those things and you take them to your shop and you sell them during the day to make money. Now, sounds kind of, basic, actually kind of deep. The inventory system in the game is amazing. When you go into like a dungeon, sometimes when you get like more rare items, they'll have a curse and they'll have little arrows. So like there'll be an arrow, like say you get a rock. Well, we're just going to use some basic ass shit. Say you get a rock and it has a red arrow pointing to the right. Its curse might be turn this item in your backpack to this exact item. So whatever item the rock's sit next to, immediately to its right, will turn it into that. So you got to like manage your inventory all a bunch of different ways.
It's almost like a mini game in itself.
Exactly, which is pretty sweet.
Right.
Game is not extremely difficult, but it can get pretty hard and hectic. Combat, yeah, I can see it being Corey. Actually, we're gonna slap him a little bit. Corey, when you first described the combat to me, you said it was like Stardew Valley.
Yeah.
Oh man, I recently played Stardew Valley because my daughter likes it. It is not the same.
Well, listen, man, it wasn't very engaging to me. All right, listen, I'll say this though: the actual premise of Moonlighter is amazing, man. Like going through the dungeons and get your items, and then you sell them back to people. It's like that's awesome, and the actual selling part was really cool.
It's real fun, like you can upgrade as you go. Your shop gets big, upgrade your shop bigger. Obviously, you can like upgrade the town to get like an armorer, lady who sells potions, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Another like the other cool aspect of the selling the shop is like it isn't like you can just start selling shit and then like leave, because like there'll be like little guys who come in there and try and steal your stuff and you gotta like tackle them. So it's like guy will come in there and like he's grabbing my thing that's worth like 10 grand. I have to run after him and get him,
Right.
Recently purchased the DLC for that game, so that might be interesting. They must have updated it. Looks like they added like little animal companions or something you can take with you too, which is kind of cool. So I'm pretty excited about that once I start getting into that. But the game starts off kind of like like Zelda. They got a little Zelda like Easter egg, not Easter egg, but like a little shout out. Like when you first get there, this old man's telling you about your dad and what he used to do, and you better be careful going to these dungeons, this and that, and you go into this first dungeon, you get your ass beat, and the old man finds you. he's like, it's dangerous to go alone. And he, gives you just like the original Zelda game, and he, gives you a sword and a shield. And from there on, you go through. I love the music in the game. Absolutely love the music in the game. I love the art style. I love, the game is just very, very, very good. It's one of my favorite indie games of all time for sure. And very pleasantly surprising to me when I picked it up and started playing it. I mean, like 30 hours in, you know what I'm saying? I mean, for an indie game, it's pretty good, for something that you weren't expecting, to rock that long, kind of like a Hollow Knight, where Hollow Knight, I beat the game and I'm like, oh my God, I had 40 hours,
I mean, I'll say this. I didn't like Moonlighter, but I respect Moonlighter. It was, I could tell it was a solid game. And for someone who likes that kind of like grind, like that repeating stuff, it's good, just it was, not my cup of tea.
I really enjoyed the game. I'm enjoying it now. Like I said, I'm doing a replay through. Actually, but me, man, I'm balancing like a ton of games right now. So it's like, that's 50. Just one of them. Yeah, that's just one of them on the list,
Right.
That's just one of them on the list. So yeah, I actually rebought it for PC because it was on sale and it, the Switch is all right, but I got some Joy-Con drift issue right now, and I don't feel like doing that. So,
all right, man. Hey, good choice. All right, I got one for you right here. All right, so this game was surprising because it was the only game that's ever sold me after playing at a kiosk, one of those demo stations, and I was at a Kmart. So this was a game for the GBA made in 2003. Do you know what it is?
2003
GBA game. I tried it at a Kmart.
You have to give me three guesses.
You can take three. Go ahead.
Give me three. Advance Wars?
Nope.
Is it a big franchise or a little franchise?
It's a medium franchise. It's made by Nintendo.
It is made by Nintendo?
It's made by Nintendo.
GBA, made by Nintendo, medium franchise. Medium franchise. It's going to be one of them off the wall.
It is off the wall.
Bravely Default. No.
Two guesses. One more
guess. Yeah, let's see here. I know. As soon as you tell me it too, I'm going to know it. Hold on. Fire Emblem.
Nope.
Okay.
So the game, so like I said, I was playing this GBA at a kiosk at Kmart, which I'm pretty sure all Kmarts are shut down. This game is WarioWare Inc. Mega Micro Games.
Big player.
And I know, man. Let me just tell you, this game is so surprising because back then, it was made 2003. I was 14 years old or something like that. It wasn't really I wasn't on the internet as much. I wasn't into the game culture as much. I had the magazines, but this game was very surprising. I played it. I probably played that station for like a half hour the whole time we were at the store. I loved it. Got it later. And let me just tell you, it's a fantastic game. It's a fantastic franchise. It's pretty much for anyone that doesn't know what the game is. It's just a whole bunch of very, very quick mini games. I'm not talking about Mario Party like you play for a minute or two. I'm talking about you play these mini games for 5 seconds, and that's it. And there's something very simple. It might be to jump over a Goomba. It might be to click A at a certain time. But it's just got this rhythm that you get compelled to keep playing. And they keep switching up the mini games. And as you keep playing them, they keep getting faster and faster. So you had 5 seconds to complete this. Now you've got 3 seconds. Now you've got 2. And as you keep going on, they keep going faster and faster. And every so often you'll get this little boss mini game, which isn't much longer, 10, 15 seconds. But they're so much fun, man. And not all of them are unique, but they've all got their own style. It riffs on a lot of other Nintendo franchises like Excite Bike, Zelda, Mario, Pac-Man. I know that's not Nintendo, but they riff on all these other little game concepts. And it's just like a really, really fun game. And I think it's kind of like what made Wario what he is. I know he had previous games, but this is what he's known for. He's known for the WarioWare games, and they've introduced other characters that have, not been huge, but like Cat and Anna, 9-Volt.
Yeah.
Ashley, she's huge. She wasn't in that original game, but she came a year later. So it's just, I don't know, it's a really, really good game. And for GBA, it was awesome. And the mini games were fun. And it even had a mode where you could play multiplayer on one single GBA. One person used the L, someone used the R.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
It was just a unique game. Man.
I remember,
I loved it.
I remember playing that game when you guys used to have the bowling league with your dad and stuff, we'd go and like 5, I'd stay over for the weekend or something when we were kids. I just remember playing at GBA while I sat there at the table playing WarioWare. So yeah, that was definitely a cool game. Very unique game.
I'll say,
very many games coming out like that.
No, man, especially for the time, And like the thing is, while I was doing like this list, I was like researching them, obviously, and it made me want to play the game again so bad. Like I was looking at videos of this, I'm like, man, this is so much fun. And I just, can they make it for the Switch, please? I'd appreciate that.
Yeah, game also looks really fun.
Is that the next one you're talking about here?
No.
Oh, I thought you were segueing. Okay, what game, Eric?
Cyberpunk.
Oh.
But we'll be waiting on that.
Oh man. Yeah, that game does look fun. I don't think we'll be pleasantly surprised by it. I think we're gonna have the right amount of hype and excitement.
Yeah, my pants will be getting a little tight.
Oh boy. All right, man.
That game. Yeah, that was a good pick there, Core, because I really enjoyed that the WarioWare game.
Right.
All right, so my turn, and this is the fourth of the fifth games. My most recently played game on the list, developed by Zom Studios, released October 15, 2019, PC only, remains PC only till this day. Disco Elysium.
I knew it. I knew it was going to be on there.
Yeah. Let's just start off by saying Beyonce. No, I'm just kidding. So we're gonna start off like this. The game. Corey put me onto this game. We read about it. It got a 10 out of 10 on GameSpot. We were both looking at it. We're like, man, it's a CRPG. CRPGs not our biggest strong suits. Although I do love Pillars of Eternity and Divinity Original Sin 2. We won't get into that. But anyway, so this game, it had a very unique kind of style of combat, you could call it. You basically battle verbally, and your guy has a bunch of different you have a bunch of different attributes you can put into like your thoughts. There's a bunch of different thoughts you can upgrade, your feelings, your emotions. You can upgrade your hand-eye coordination. You can upgrade your empathy. You can upgrade anything. Very unique game. The premise of the game is great. You're a detective who has to solve a murder case. Sounds pretty good. Except you're a piece of trash detective. You wake up in your apartment naked with your clothes everywhere, ties hanging from the ceiling fan. You don't remember what the hell happened. You're messed up. You're bad shape. Nobody respects you. You lost your badge. You lost your gun. The game's text is literally like unmatched. Like the conversations you have with people, everything. The world is so gloomy. Everything is just so like spot on for like how the game feels and looks. It looks like a Van Gogh painting. The graphics are kind of trash. I'm running on a pretty high powered PC. Doesn't really help. Just the art style just doesn't really look, all that great. But the game, is literally just like so packed full of like, just little it's the first. I think I told Corey this before, but I think it's the first game I ever played where like I literally understood everything that happened in the game, and can remember. Not understood is not the right word. I can remember everything that happened in the game just because there was so much reading. But yeah, your main objective is to solve a murder case, and you go through some leaps and bounds, plenty of side quests, everything like that. Great RPG, not super long. Can finish the game. It took me about 31 hours. Pretty much did everything in the game. I would assume, except for some article I read that said it was 95 hours long, which is just horrible. You already know that's trash.
Right.
So great game. Loved it. I just keep wanting to go back to play it, even though I've experienced everything. So it'll be nice for a DLC for that to come out. But that game pleasantly surprised me very, 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 very much. And that's one, the music in the game is fantastic. There's some great missions in the game, great quests to do. Like, it's just, and you can make your guy look like a supreme douchebag. You're broke. you trash a bunch of stuff when you're drunk the night before. You're trying to figure out what happened. Everybody hates you.
And no one respects you. You're an alcoholic.
Everything.
You're dirty. You smell. You only have on one shoe. It's just
I know.
But the game does like a really good job of like kind of making you care for the guy. Like I want him to do better.
You can't help but feel sorry for his ass.
Right.
Like,
he's so pathetic. But it's like, that's my pathetic detective. I'm him. And
I will give you an example of a situation. So here's a situation in the game that's like stuff that you don't see in very many games. So basically, what happens is like depending on your level in a certain thought. So let's just say empathy. So depending on a certain level in that, you get a dice roll, and it tells you your percentage of passing this check. If you don't pass it, you fail, and then you have to upgrade that level one time to try it again. Well, basically, what can happen though is you can die. And the way you die in this game is absolutely hilarious. There was a punk kid talking shit to me, and he kept talking crap, and I had this option to smack him across his face. So I said, okay, well, my hand-eye coordination wasn't very high, but I said, hey, let's just try it. What's the worst that could happen? I click it, I check fail. He swings back to hit him, falls. My detective slips, falls flat on his face, dies of a heart attack. Just stuff like that.
That might be the best. That might be the best death in gaming. You miss the slap and you have a heart attack.
Well, there's other ways to die in the game too, and this isn't here. Man, I want to tell you whatever, dude. Whatever. I'm gonna tell you.
Listen. Oh, you're gonna tell me? Okay.
I'm going to tell you. There's this. I know you're playing the game right now, but for anybody listening, Cory did start playing the game. Oh, and actually, let's start this over. For anybody listening, Cory has had a decent PC, i5 PC for 4 years now, 3-4 years now, and couldn't get any games to run. And he couldn't even play disco, but all he had to do was change his HDMI plug from his on his motherboard video card to his graphics card, his NVIDIA cards.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Go ahead, move on, Eric.
Yeah, we can. That's probably gonna get edited out. I'll just be the douche. Right. But anyway, in the game, like another way you can die in the game is like you fail as a detective. So basically, what happens is the guy that you're trying to investigate the murder for is a dude hanging in a tree, and one of the options is to shoot him down with the gun. Well, you obviously don't have your gun, so you borrow Detective Kim, your partner's gun, and you're trying to shoot down the lock to drop the body. Well, I tried that, and my dude missed, shot the dead body in the guts, a bunch of stuff started spilling out, and I decided to quit the force, and that was another way you die. So,
oh, really? You quit the force?
Yeah, that's what it
said?
Yeah, like
that's hilarious.
Yeah, your thoughts run through, I'm just going to kill myself, this and that. And he's like, no, I'm going to, so, yeah, the game does a lot for, just for your, there's a lot of deep stuff in the game that everybody's talking about. It's a society that's literally crumbling, and you're here trying to solve a murder with nobody respects the police. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's
yeah, man. Like you said, I'm playing. I'm pretty excited to get further into it. Get that story, because that's what the game's about. It's dialogue. It's all dialogue, but it's a great story. So
yeah.
I can't wait to have discussions with you about it. Once I finally do get deep into it. So
yeah, that's one. I know you were telling me. I think you said Jeremy was going to start playing it and stuff, or if he has started playing it. So that's a good one.
This level of thoughts and players is brought to you by us. If you've been enjoying the podcast so far, please show your support and let us know by subscribing to the podcast, following us on the socials, and contributing to community surveys and questions around our community segments. Doing so will help the podcast grow, keep our content engaging, and most importantly, make sure your voice is heard. Thanks for tuning in, and now back to the show.
All right, Eric, I have my final game, which I would say was definitely my most pleasantly surprising game. So we all know games based on movies or game based on IPs are generally not the greatest. It takes... There's not a lot of good movie games. There's not a lot of good games based on characters that, have been in media. So when this game was announced, you kind of really don't think much about it. And it's from an unknown developer at the time, Rocksteady, who had previously only made one game. But what they did with Batman Arkham Asylum is They made a masterpiece.
Yeah.
And when every other game before that from Batman was either horrible or just decent, and all the Spider-Man games before that were just the same kind of thing, for them to make as good of a game as they did, it was a breath of fresh air. So let me just start talking about it a little bit.
Go ahead,
what were you gonna say? Go ahead.
No, it's just funny. I was just thinking, like, the game that you picked is an older game for
Right,
your last
yeah.
pick, and we were both kind of on the same track there because my last game is an older game.
Okay, yeah, well,
So it's pretty cool. So
yeah, it is cool. Well, first off, they did it right because they brought back one of the original writers, Paul Dini. They brought back the voice actors for Batman, Joker, and Harley. And none of that stuff means you're going to have a good game. But what it means is that it's hopefully going to be well produced and it's going to be really authentic to the show I grew up on, which was Batman, the animated series, you know? So I was already kind of in. But the thing that kind of gets you is the combat. They have something called free flow combat, which is just pretty much attack, stun, and dodge.
No, I got a question.
I don't think they invented it. I don't think.
You don't think so?
Is that what you're going to ask?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't think they invented it, but they definitely popularized it, because now every game has a lot of games have combats like that, including the Spider-Man game, including the Shadow of games. There's a lot of copycats from that system, but I feel like they were the first ones to really get it running. And the combat's great, man. It's very combo heavy. You're able to move from enemy to enemy very quickly. As long as you're not getting hit, you're flying from enemy to enemy and you're building up that combo meter. You're dodging. Batman has every gadget that he would have in the game, in the shows, including batarangs, grappling guns, all that stuff. It's just a very, very good game in terms of combat. It's also a Metroidvania, which is a genre that I don't enjoy as much as you do.
Oh yeah,
but
that's my baby.
When it's done, when it's done right, it's a great genre. You're collecting power ups to be able to access areas that you couldn't get to earlier, and you're locked down on this one island, and you're getting power ups. You're meeting all these classic villains: Poison Ivy, Joker, Harley, Killer Croc, all those guys that you've watched, and it feels like a Batman show come to life.
Oh, dude,
it's great, man.
I mean, like the game, and me, I'm not a fan. Not that I'm not a fan of those games,
right?
But I gave those games a try, and I played Arkham Knight first, and that kind of seriously, you know what I'm saying, threw me off because I just Arkham Knight's kind of trash.
Yeah, I didn't realize how advanced Arkham Knight was compared to the original ones. I suggested it, hey, jump into this one, but it throws a lot at you, but
it's not that it's a bad game, but they keep making you drive in the Batmobile, which is like horrible. But this is what I want to say about that game, those Batman games. The cast of characters, it was the first I think in my opinion of games that came out that made you feel like you were actually watching the animated series or something.
Oh man, like I said, bringing back those actors and bringing back that writer, man, it was like an extended episode, of the animated series. It was really good, man. It had a great story. It had a whole bunch of characters. They fit as much as they could into that game. I'm not a stealth guy at all, but even the stealth is fun in that game. It's one of those things where you go into a room and you have all these enemies with their paths, and you kind of pick how you want to destroy them, because you have so many gadgets at your disposal. There's 15 different ways you can take out these guys. And at any time, if that stealth doesn't work, you're Batman. You're the baddest dude on the planet. Yeah. You just punch him in the face. So it's just, I don't know, man. It's just one of my favorite games of all time. It's one of the best games ever made, in my opinion. And it's one of the games that showed developers that, man, okay, we don't have to just make cheap games of these popular IPs. We can actually make a good game and it'll sell and it'll get respect. And man, that is my most surprising game, because at the time, you don't know what game you're going to get, but we got a masterpiece.
You don't listen, do you? I'm just playing, dog. All right. So my game, I believe you'll know it right off the bat. So we're gonna go here. So game was released in 2002. So you know what era of games that was, right?
It was 360. Or no, that was Xbox.
Ah, man, you should be fired. GameCube, Xbox, PS2. The developer no longer exists. They should. Countless tries to try and bring a spiritual successor to this game.
Wow.
Developed by Silicon Knights.
Yeah, I know.
Published by Nintendo.
Yeah, wow.
Your boy Dennis Dyack. No, I'm just kidding.
I don't know who that is, but go on.
The director of the game.
Oh,
He works for some small time studio now, I believe. Canadian
oh
guy.
man.
Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem.
You know
So
what?
let's go
That
ahead.
is hold on. That is a fantastic pick, Eric. That's a really, really good game.
Listen, bro. This game, you remember when we played it, right? So this
Oh,
is the
yeah.
thing. I remember getting it. I remember researching the game for a long time. When we were younger, we wanted games like Resident Evil, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And this game, you know, that's just what we liked. Oh, Resident Evil, you know? So I was like, oh, this game, you know, cool. I'm thinking survival horror. It was so much more than that, man. It was like I don't even know how to describe it. The game isn't survival horror to me. You know what I'm saying? When you're playing it, like, you know,
I mean, it's psychological, right?
psychological horror.
Yeah, psychological horror, 100%.
The game breaks the fourth wall, kind of like Deadpool and stuff, which is
Right.
like really cool. You know, like all of a sudden your TV volume's going up and down, or like your
Right.
TV will shut off. You know what I'm saying? Like stuff like look like your TV shut off, stuff like that. The sanity effects were so cool, man. From like bugs crawling across the screen, or like your dude's walking, like you walk into a room, you're walking upside down, you know, or like all of a sudden, like the game will say, like you're save game deleted. You know what I'm saying? And not to mention that, dude. But there's 12 different characters in the game, so you start off from like the ancient Greek, like not ancient Greece, but like, you know, Roman times, like way back in the time. You know, you're you know, those draw to blank.
Yeah, ancient Romans.
Yeah, ancient Roman times. So then you start there, and then you go into like, you know, a little bit for like you're like a woman in like
in
in
modern
a cave.
times.
Yeah. Well,
Okay.
yeah, and it jumps back and forth with her. She's like the main character reading this book about all these people that, you know, were affected by the eternal darkness, which is like this
Right.
greater power that's like trying to destroy the universe. So anyway, you know, you start off as your boy Pius Augustus, which is dope. And he, you know, he turns into like the main advocate for trying to destroy the universe. And he's trying to travel through time to kill the people who are going to stop it. So you decide to play as all those characters. So you first play as Pius, turns into the douchebag Pius, and then you're picking all these other characters who are trying to, you know, make sure the eternal darkness doesn't happen. Couple really good stories. The one guy, I drawn a blank on his name. I want to say Abu is his name, but I'm not sure. It's like you know, like Persia, and he's in like a cave, you know, it's like Aladdin, and that like storyline was so sweet, man. He's like doing everything. He's got to get this artifact for his wife, who, you know, really, you know, will do anything. You know, she'll finally, you know, like the girl of his dreams, and she'll finally have him if he finds this, and then he shows up finally, finds out she's just you know, she's dead, and, you know, like she was killed.
Right.
You know, there's stuff like that. But my personal favorite one, so the Roivas family is what the game's based on. So the Roivas family, you know, she shows up to her grandfather's house. He was like brutally murdered, you know, and it's a little cheesy, but, you know, anyway, she's reading through these books and stuff. But one of her family members from like the 1800s is there. And he's this big fat colonial guy, you know, but it's like so sweet, dude. You know, like you're in this mansion in the game, it's like modern times, and all of a sudden, you know, you're playing in the same mansion, but like in the like 1800s, and it looks all old, you know? So it's like super sweet, and like, you know, you're packing, you know, your weapons are different, you know, you gotta pack the ball, like the musket loader, you know what I'm saying? You're packing in the stuff, and, you know, and then like he had like one of the best. When he gets locked up in the darkness, he's like, "May the rats eat your eyes," you know, like stuff like that. So, yeah, that game, the combat was like focused on, you know, it was like an action
body
game.
parts, right?
Yeah, you could like, when you targeted, you could like
take out
the
the
head,
arm,
cut the head,
take
take out the arms, and like then you could summon creatures. You know, you had magic. You could summon like big beasts to go fight. I mean, it was like, dude, like the game was fantastic. You know, and it really, it's a shame that it, you know, never really got what it deserved, like a sequel or like a remaster. You know,
yeah,
somebody
man,
please.
That's probably the worst part, because I do believe Nintendo owns the rights to the game, and it would be a cool one to bring back, man. And like the thing is, like that psychological horror, there really hasn't been too many games that have copied anything like that.
Like the reason why the game surprised me was I was thinking it was going to be a lot like Resident Evil, and you
Right.
remember before Resident Evil 4 came out, you know, the controls were just horrible.
Right.
So you're like you're thinking some sort of game that's going to scare you, and the game didn't scare me at all. It was just like, had some sweet effects, you know, like great environments to travel through, you know, great casted characters, man. Like the thing, the thing of it is like I was so unexpecting to like what the game was going to be. And after I finished, I'm like, dude, that was like a great action game. It's like a great, like, like a dungeon crawling game. Like it felt like, just
Right.
like, you're trying to like unravel a mystery. It was just, I think that's my most surprising game I've ever played in my life. Just how great it was. Just, like from the start to the finish, you're like, oh my God, I can't believe how good this game was,
No, man, that's a great pick. I mean, yeah. I wish they would make a sequel because, man, that original one, just with the interlocking stories and the sanity meter, and it was a very unique game. And yeah, I can imagine you being pleasantly surprised because there was nothing like it.
They had I can't remember the name of it, but there was a game that they released a trailer. If you just type in like Eternal Darkness spiritual successor, there was a game in 2014 that Dennis Dyack were working on as like a spiritual successor, and it looked like Eternal Darkness. It was sweet, and then it just kind of got squashed. It's just like, man, you just wish that,
Yeah, so, I hear you, buddy.
And that's a pleasantly surprised for me, man. Yeah. And,
hey, man, I think those were 10 pretty good games, man.
10 solid games, man. Yeah. Yeah, real 10 solid games. In my opinion, I agree with you on all yours, and I know you hate Moonlighter, but you know what? We can agree on all that.
No, I 100% agree with most of yours too, man. It's it's going to be different for everybody. My pleasantly surprised isn't going to be yours or anyone else's, but it's just those games kind of like hit me in a spot, and it's almost like it's harder to be surprised now because we're older and we kind of like have our taste down pat, and we we're only going to really buy what we like. But there's been some newer games. You had Disco, it came out last year, and I had God of War, so you still get that from time to time, and it's always one of those things that it feels nice to be like, oh, this is better than I thought it would be.
Oh yeah, Death Stranding for sure. Stuff like that.
Yeah, man. Yeah. But yeah, cool, man. Hey, it was a good topic. I hope everyone enjoyed listening to it. Yeah. Let's go with final thoughts. Eric, do you have any final thoughts?
I do have a final thought. It's something that's been bugging me for quite some time. A game I was pretty excited for, and I probably shouldn't have been. Zelda Link's Awakening, the remake on the Switch. We got great reviews. Had great graphics, this and that. Whatever. The game wasn't very good. It felt, like a Game Boy game, obviously, and I'm sure everybody knew that, but it just was not that good. Lots of frame drops, very stale attack. I don't know, man. I just don't know what to describe. I just think the game is very overrated in like all aspects of the game. Very short. I thought, the dungeon builder would have been a lot better, and it wasn't anywhere near something that I would have liked, and the fact that you like, I don't know. I it's hard for me to, on point, all of a sudden I have all these thoughts about how horrible this game was, and now I can't think of them. But I think personally the game was very overrated, and that, that's my spiel.
So would you say you were unpleasantly surprised?
I was, yes. That maybe not unpleasantly. I was pleasantly pissed off, I guess. Because it's like, because it was kind of more like, I'm kind of irritated that this game wasn't that great, but I should have expected it because it's just the Game Boy game.
It's just the Game Boy game. Yeah, man. Good point. All right, so my final thought is a very simple one. It's kind of like a call to action. If you guys have any pleasantly surprised games, like hit us up on our Facebook or on the YouTube videos or anywhere you hear this podcast, and just let us know what kind of games surprised you.
Yeah, and if you disagree,
and if you disagree with me or Eric, man, and let us know how Eric did. Eric, thanks for joining the podcast. I thought it was fun. We've been wanting to do this for a long time, so it was pretty cool.
I like what you guys are doing on there, man. I've been listening,
Yeah, thanks, man.
Support.
Thanks. So that's it. That's it for the bonus level of thoughts and players. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe to the podcast on your preferred podcast service. Apple, Google, whatever. You can also like the podcast on Facebook at facebook.com/thoughts and players, as well as Instagram at thoughts.players. Hey, thanks again, everyone. And that is it for the bonus level. Goodbye.